A major winter storm is unfolding across the United States, and that is not all we are tracking. More snow and ice are on the way, and we will discuss who will be affected in today's video. Welcome, everyone, and happy Saturday. It is November 29th, and the month is ending with significant snowfall for many. I believe December will continue this pattern as I am tracking another winter storm approaching. This next storm will affect many folks in the Northeast and the Ohio Valley starting in just a couple of days. Beyond that, there are more signals for winter weather potentially extending even further south and east in about a week or so. I will tell you the recurring theme has been this southward shift of the snow, and I expect that trend to continue over the coming weeks. Now, if you are new to the channel, I would like to extend a warm welcome. If you have not already, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and enabling notifications for the latest updates. Doing so is entirely free of charge. It costs you nothing, and it helps you stay informed while letting me know where you are watching from. Let's proceed directly to the forecast map beside me. This is the latest information from our European computer model today, and it shows a very active pattern. You can see a great deal of energy in the atmosphere with numerous storm systems and plenty of cold air nearby. For some, this will mean snow, and for others, it will be a very close call, but that could certainly trend toward a snowier and icier scenario as we receive more data. In any case, you can see quite an active pattern looks to unfold over the next 10 days, which is the period this model covers. As for right now, we already have winter storm warnings highlighted here in pink over much of Iowa through northern Illinois, northern Indiana, and even into southern Michigan and southern Wisconsin, which are receiving rather heavy snow today. We also have some ice out there for others, making for a challenging situation. In addition, new winter weather advisories have been issued for the Appalachian mountain chain from just near Asheville, North Carolina, northbound through Watauga and Avery counties, then up into southwestern Virginia and portions of West Virginia, where we could see some icing as early as overnight tonight and into early tomorrow morning. I am then expecting more winter weather advisories and potentially even winter storm watches to be issued for portions of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast later today and into tomorrow. So please be aware that this is on the horizon and may have already occurred by the time you are viewing this. It is quite a developing situation. The snow is certainly coming down heavily for many of us. Again, if you are in a part of the country that's receiving snow right now, I would appreciate hearing how much you have accumulated. It has been a very snowy day in Des Moines, Davenport, and Chicago. Chicago did not receive much snow last winter, but this time around it is a very different story. The snow is falling quite intensely. The same is true for Springfield, Illinois. Many people in this region are seeing heavy snowfall. The same is true for northern Indiana, much of southern Wisconsin, and Minneapolis. A great deal of that snow is now working its way into Michigan with rain to the south of there. But if you are in portions of the Northeast, please be prepared as you are next in line for some of this snow. Let us now look at who will see it and exactly how much. We can answer that question by examining the latest model data. For many people in the Northeast, this current storm will be something of an appetizer for the next major storm that I am tracking for early next week. Nevertheless, some of you are still going to receive snow from this system. Let us review the timing for you through the end of tonight. This evening is when many of you are likely watching. The snow is still coming down quite steadily for many of us. As we move later into the overnight hours approaching midnight, it will begin to taper off in Iowa and Minnesota. However, the snow will continue at a good pace in parts of Michigan, the northern half of Ohio, and areas around Erie, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, and the Finger Lakes, which will receive some snow overnight tonight. When you wake up tomorrow morning, as I mentioned, areas in the mountains of North Carolina, specifically the northern mountains and the highest elevations such as Mount Mitchell and up into southwestern Virginia and West Virginia could certainly experience some icy conditions as some cold air remains in place. I can tell you it is quite chilly here in the upstate of South Carolina, where I am still at home for the time being. Starting tomorrow, however, I will be back in my regular studio view. It is chilly out there, so some of that cold air is trapped in place through a process known as cold air damming. We are definitely going to see some ice overnight and into early tomorrow in those higher elevations of North Carolina and into the Virginias. As for the Northeast, it will be mainly a rain event for places like Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and all along Interstate 95. However, by the time we are heading out the door tomorrow, you will notice some wintry weather in upstate New York, northern Vermont, and New Hampshire. I am not certain what the proper term is for the northernmost part of Maine, so please let me know if you live up near the Canadian border. I know the coastal sections are called the down east areas, but I am not sure what you call the northern section. Feel free to give me a geography lesson in the comments if you would like. By tomorrow afternoon, snow will still be falling at times. It will likely be on and off for many folks in the interior of the Northeast. Some lake-effect snow on the backside of this low-pressure system will bring even more accumulating snowfall to portions of western Michigan and the Upper Peninsula. It could even sneak down into northern Indiana. It will be a showery, cold, and raw day along Interstate 95 from Boston all the way down through Connecticut and Rhode Island. This also includes Long Island and even down into New Jersey, Philadelphia, and the Delmarva Peninsula. But by the time we get into Sunday overnight and look toward your Monday, conditions will begin to clear out. But take a look, the next storm is already brewing, and that one will help to bring the snow line further south and east, including some rather large cities. Let us go ahead and provide the snowfall totals for the next 48 hours, and then we will break down that next threat, which is really going to increase the totals for some. Here are the expected snowfall totals from our current storm system. And please remember, this will be through tonight. And for some through tomorrow as well. I will also add this is as of noon this afternoon. So you may subtract whatever you have received since then from these totals. Still, these are quite good totals. Upwards of perhaps even double-digit amounts here along the shorelines of Wisconsin and Michigan. I believe northern Indiana, at least northwestern Ohio, and south-central Michigan are still going to see a good half a foot or more. Up toward Chicago, you can probably expect another 3 to 5 inches for many of you. It is truly a winter wonderland out there, folks. It is quite a sight to see some of the pictures on social media. You can also tag me on social media with your pictures. I will be happy to retweet or repost to you on Twitter, X, or Facebook. Feel free to tag me and I will give you a shout out there. This has been a very nice early season winter storm for much of us in the Midwest, and the forecast seems to have gone according to plan. For the Northeast, here is the snowfall to come. As I said, I am not expecting much of anything along Interstate 95. At the start, could we see a little bit of sleet or a very quick burst of snow? It is possible, but any accumulation will likely be confined to the interior of the Northeast. At least that is the case with this storm. The next one will be a completely different story, and I will show you that in just a moment. I believe the higher terrain up in the Tug Hill Plateau could receive half a foot or more, and the higher terrain of Vermont and New Hampshire could see from half a foot to a foot. For the lower-lying areas, expect 1 to 3 inches with some totals of 3 to 5 inches mixed in. Nevertheless, it is still a wintry event that we will continue to track. Now, what about the potential for ice? I am not seeing a significant amount of ice. I do not believe this will be a major travel concern down here in the mid-Atlantic. However, the higher terrain of West Virginia, southwestern Virginia, and into the mountains of North Carolina could be affected. This is especially true north of Interstate 40. We could get a glaze of up to 1/10 of an inch. Isolated spots could see 1/4 of an inch, but I am not expecting widespread power outages or travel concerns. Still, please take it easy on the roads tomorrow morning. I know we have many viewers in this part of the country, so please be mindful. It will be a cold rain elsewhere in places like Charlotte and Raleigh. You can expect just a good old-fashioned nice cold drizzle and light rain at times. All right, that covers the current storm. Now, for the next one, which presents another bit of a forecasting challenge, then about a week from now, my eyes are on another potential storm that could track even further south than this next one. Let's go ahead and break it all down for you. Let us begin by talking about the setup for this. Let's discuss the next storm on the way. We have seen some trends today moving it further to the south and east, with some data indicating that more people in highly populated areas could receive snowfall. Let's talk about why this is happening. By the time we get to tomorrow afternoon, this Sunday, November 30th, the map shows 21 Zulu time, which for us is the afternoon to evening time frame. We have a very clear connection shown here in blue to Arctic air up in the polar regions of Canada. That air is going to continue to work its way down into the northeastern United States. This is important for 2 reasons. First, it is bringing cold air, which is obviously what you need for winter weather. Second, it is going to help suppress the storm's track even more. This will help push that rain-snow line closer to the coast, which is a trend we have seen in some of the data that is beginning to unfold today. As that is happening, a new trough or a new system will start to develop, indicating this large shot of Arctic air is working its way southbound. And around that, a piece of energy will develop around this trough. It is a little shortwave embedded in that cold air that is going to ride the boundary and likely produce a band of wintry precipitation. I believe someone could get half a foot to a foot of snow out of this one. And again, this could be in some highly populated areas that have not necessarily seen a lot of snow so far this winter. We will talk about exactly who in just a moment. But that is the general setup here in the upper levels of the atmosphere with our 500 millibar height anomaly map. You can also see it on our vorticity map, which is another great tool to use for a setup like this when trying to determine exactly where that rain-snow line will be. Here is the next storm by Monday afternoon. You can see we have this trough developing with a bit of vorticity embedded right along with it. Now, I know I continue to repeat this, and I have said it in several videos, but it certainly bears repeating. When you have those brighter red colors moving across the Rocky Mountains this time of year, it creates a unique effect. As that energy comes down the eastern slopes of the Rockies, it helps to stretch out the atmosphere and get a storm system rotating, making it much easier for a low-pressure area to form. This happens for a number of meteorological reasons, but the important thing to know is that it works. This will help form a low-pressure system, and then the dip in the jet stream, which is what we call the trough, will continue to provide the fuel for that storm. You can see the general path of this trough right here. It is on this side that you get that lifting motion in the upper atmosphere right over the storm. That energy is going to steer the storm right through the Ohio Valley and really across the southeast. The upper level support will move through the Ohio Valley, and eventually that pocket of energy that fuels the storm is going to settle right along the northeast coastline. That is when this storm will likely strengthen considerably and produce higher snowfall totals. This is especially true for the northeast. For the Ohio Valley, we are not expecting as much because the upper-level energy is positioned a little differently relative to the surface storm. However, once the system reaches the northeast, it is going to intensify, and I do believe it will become quite a nice little snowstorm for at least some of our communities. Now, that explains the setup in the upper atmosphere. Let me show you what that looks like on one of our high-resolution computer models, and then we will talk about the potential snowfall and ice totals from this system. All right, here we are. You can see the storm developing. This is for 7 a.m. on Monday or 1200 hours in Zulu time for our pilots and military folks. And yes, we have a little band of snow starting to form here over Kansas. Now, something new to watch for in the models, I would say, with some of the trends pushing farther south today, is the chance for some wintry weather as far south as a place like Arkansas. Could Little Rock see some icing from this system? That would not surprise me in the least. But I do expect a band of snow to develop across Kansas and into Missouri by your Monday morning and continuing into the afternoon. Now, the low-pressure system itself is getting its start way down here over the Gulf of Mexico, but there is enough lift spreading north to create that overrunning event, as we call it in meteorology. So we will see a band of snow here moving into Illinois, Indiana, and Missouri. Now, this will not be like today's storm for folks in this area, but we will see that winter weather line move farther to the south. So, yes, places in the Ozarks could certainly see some winter weather from this. That would not shock me at all. Then you can see that by the time we get into Monday overnight, right around midnight, the low pressure continues to strengthen, and more moisture overlaps the cold air. It looks like a good band of snow is setting up right through Ohio, Indiana, southern Michigan, with Kentucky being a bit of a battleground state. I believe areas like Louisville are going to see some snow. The ice line will likely be just south of there. Then once you get down toward Tennessee, it will probably be more rain than anything else. We also have to watch for ice again in the mountains of the Mid-Atlantic, including West Virginia, and potentially the mountains of North Carolina. We could see another icing event there. This would occur overnight, Monday into your Tuesday. And then here we go by Tuesday morning. Now, this particular model is the R-GEM model. It is a bit farther south than some of the others, but I believe this has been the overall trend today. So I am showing it to you. It does show a start with a bit of a wintry mix in Washington, D.C., and even potentially up into Baltimore. Philadelphia could see a bit of an icy mess. It looks like all snow for Scranton. Harrisburg State College and much of Pennsylvania outside of the Philadelphia area looks to be quite snowy from this event. It appears to be mostly rain for the Delmarva Peninsula and rain in Charlotte, Greenville, Spartanburg, and Atlanta. This does not appear to be our storm in the southeast this time. Then as we move it forward, a big healthy band of snow moves through much of upstate New York and into the Hudson Valley. Connecticut, western Massachusetts, all of Vermont, and all of New Hampshire look to receive snow. It appears that just about all of Maine will also see snow from this event by your Tuesday morning at least, according to this particular model run. We will see what shifts may occur with that rain-snow line, but it looks fairly well defined for now. Now, in Philadelphia, I think it could start as winter weather. Then I believe you will switch over to rain there by Tuesday later in the morning and into the afternoon. For New York City, it is likely the same story. You could begin with a little bit of mixed precipitation, then see a change over to rain. A place like Boston, I think you are going to be right on that fine line by Tuesday morning and afternoon. Much like the other cities, it could start with a mix of winter weather and then perhaps begin to transition to more rain than anything else. For western Massachusetts, I think this is going to be a great snow event for you folks. I also believe much of northern Connecticut will see quite a nice snow event. As we keep it going, that rain line does try to move north a little bit, with the warmer air moving in throughout the day on Tuesday, but it remains all snow for western Massachusetts into Vermont, New Hampshire, and much of Maine. Then on the backside of the storm, it even tries to switch back to a bit of snow as the system pulls away. But something to notice is that the low pressure is not as well defined as it begins on your Monday afternoon into Tuesday. Then as you go through Tuesday afternoon, you can see that upper level support really takes hold of things, and that low pressure center will really begin to intensify. So I believe that where we do see some of that snow, it could be coming down quite hard and heavy, which would bring the potential for higher snowfall totals. Also, this will probably be a pretty wet snow, so we may see some power outages and things of that nature. And of course, if we start with some ice, that could create its own set of problems. That is just one computer model and one potential outcome for this storm. Allow me to show you some ensemble data which will show us who has the highest chance of seeing snow, because this one model, of course, does not tell the complete story. All right, let's take a look now at some of the ensemble data. As I mentioned, I believe this is probably a better tool to use at this point in the forecast when we are this far out from the storm system. As for areas in the Ohio Valley, I do expect a nice band of snow. And you can see here how it begins to set up by Tuesday. There is a good signal back toward Kansas City for perhaps a couple of inches of snow. The same is true for St. Louis. And I do even think portions of Kentucky could get some snow from this. Now here, I do not believe it will be a major winter storm. It will probably be closer to winter weather advisory criteria. We could certainly see some travel impacts, do not get me wrong, but it will be nothing compared to what a lot of folks are seeing today with potential double-digit snowfall. I am just not seeing that with this setup due to some of that lack of upper-level support over the Ohio Valley, but nonetheless a nice quick little excuse me. Not quiddle. I am making up words here by combining things, but at the very least it will be a bit of, a flash of snow, if you will. A nice early-season quick-hitting event. What about the trend, though? This is a slightly different map. What I just showed you was the latest run of our European ensemble models. This is the trend. So this was from a couple of model runs ago. You can see where the bullseye for the snow is. That is not what I wanted to do. Let me go back one more time. I apologize for that. We are going to get it right here. Let's see. All right. This is from a couple of runs ago. Then you keep it going to a newer run and a newer run and a newer run and a newer run and a newer run. Let's back it up again. And you keep it going. Some things to note are that we are seeing some consistency for sure. But some of the latest runs are backing off a little bit on the totals here while also shifting the storm maybe just a little bit farther to the south. So that is something to keep in mind here for the Ohio Valley. For the Northeast, as I said, I think this one has pretty good potential. This is the same kind of map, and you can see the storm showing up here in the signal right around Tuesday. Tuesday will likely be the hardest hitting day. The European ensemble members, though, folks are a good bit farther south and east than some of the other data I just showed you. The ensemble has a pretty good burst of snow into northern New Jersey through the entire state of Connecticut, all of Rhode Island, and all of Massachusetts. It even wants to bring, nearly half a foot of snow into Boston. Now, that is probably overdoing it a little bit, but this is not out of the realm of possibility at all. It even tries to bring snow down into Philadelphia with about a 2-inch average, and it tries to bring about an inch or two down into Baltimore and Washington, D.C. Now, I think this is probably overdoing it a bit for these southern cities like Philadelphia, D.C., and Baltimore. I think, again, this is more of a quick onset, a quick burst of snow. Could you end up with an inch of snow, sleet, and ice and then a change to rain? Yes, I could certainly see a scenario like that playing out. But where I have more confidence in this forecast is farther north into Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. I do expect a heavier band of snow up that way. And if the European model is correct, then yes, some large population centers like Boston and Providence and even Hartford could be in line for a good little snowstorm. What does the trend look like? Well, let's go back a couple of model runs, and I think you can see that shift farther south and east even better here on the European model. Here is a couple of runs ago. A newer run. Newer. We will keep it going. And you can kind of see here how you start to see that trend a little bit farther south and east. Here is a run from way back in time. Let me go back and then I will move it forward. And yes, you can see it is very subtle, but there is a bit of a shift farther to the south and east. So this could be good news if you are a snow lover in places like northern New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. The same is true for southern New Hampshire and Vermont. It is not looking half bad either. This is definitely shaping up to be a nice early December winter storm for some folks who are a little snow-starved. Trust me, I have read your comments and I have definitely seen them. All right, what about some other factors? Well, we have another storm potentially after this one. We could also see some icing out of this event. Let's go ahead and track both of those possibilities. We will use the same tool here. Here are the European ensembles, and it does show a bit of an icing signal down into the Carolinas. Now, this would be in the mountains of the Carolinas and the mountains of the Virginias. I do not think we are going to get any ice in Charlotte, Greenville, Raleigh, Spartanburg, or Atlanta. I think we are just looking at a cold rain once again here. But we could see some icing out here in the higher terrains of Appalachia, which would not surprise me. There is also a little bit of a signal up here into Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and Baltimore. As I mentioned, things could start out here with a quick burst of maybe some sleet, then some freezing rain, and then switching over to just good old-fashioned rainfall from this event early next week. After that, I am also keeping a close watch on another potential system further down the road, although I will not go into too many specifics just yet. We must first analyze the storm that is expected on Monday and Tuesday. However, we are seeing a signal for an event about a week from now, around the 5th to the 7th of December. If you have been following along, you may have noticed that the trend has been for one storm to track to the north and the next one a little farther south. Then the next storm tracks a little farther south from that one. As this pattern continues, it brings the possibility of winter weather hazards to more communities in our forecast. I do see another potential threat on the horizon. Here is the time frame for Monday and Tuesday. This is the trough I showed you earlier, which is the system that will be bringing snow to areas of the Northeast. As that system moves out of the Ohio Valley, let us look at what develops next. We have another area of low pressure forming out in the Rockies, which we in the field call a Baja low. As that is occurring, a significant mass of Arctic air appears and begins to move south. The question then becomes, first, where and how far south will this cold air travel as it moves down into the Northeast? And second, what will this Baja low do? Will it be directed out into the southeast? Is it possible the two systems will merge? Could that Baja low draw in energy from the southern jet stream and send it our way? Well, that is precisely what some of our data has suggested for that time frame. About a week from now. Again, this is not a guaranteed forecast, and we are not predicting a major snowstorm. It is, however, another development to watch carefully in the coming days. You can see it here on the vorticity map where the Baja low is very well defined. What it does is begin to gather energy over Texas, and the southern branch of the jet stream becomes more active. That, combined with the push of cold air farther to the north, is certainly a situation worth watching. You can see how it gathers energy there. By the time we arrive at this point about a week from now, we will have a great deal of energy in the northern stream and a great deal in the southern stream. The critical question is, will the two combine? The European model ensembles are indicating there is at least a potential for that. Here we are looking at next Thursday, which is after the current storm. This is also after the storm early in the week. We see an increased probability of snowfall, the chance of accumulating snow within a 24-hour period out in the Four Corners region, which then extends up into the Ohio Valley. There are even some chances down into the foothills of North Carolina and Virginia. It is a fairly significant possibility here through Indiana and Ohio as it appears right now. And please take a look at this. It is a very strong signal once again for the Northeast. New York City is already showing a 50 to 60% chance of snow, and Philadelphia has a 50 to 60% chance as well. The chances are quite good in Boston, Vermont, and New Hampshire. We are also starting to see higher probabilities down into the Washington, D.C. and Baltimore areas. So the theme is continuing. My friends and I have been forecasting this for 2 weeks now. We expected the snow to start farther north, which has happened today with snow in the Midwest. For this coming Monday and Tuesday, we expect the storm track to move farther south. New places like Boston, perhaps Hartford and Providence could see some snowfall. Then, a week from now, we may see it move even farther south. Perhaps Philadelphia, New York City, Washington, D.C., and Baltimore will see some activity. Who can say? Perhaps by the middle of the month, we may have a snowstorm for the southeast. Obviously, time will tell, and nothing is set in stone yet. The final thing I will leave you with is the same chart, but showing the potential for freezing rain, and you can see a signal there as well about a week from now. There is a strong cold air damming signal in the Carolinas and some icing potential showing up even in the Ozarks. This is definitely a time frame to watch, and I will be doing so for you. All right, that is all the information I have for you folks on this wonderful Saturday. I will be back home tomorrow for a video from my regular studio and background, and I'm also looking at a live stream for tomorrow night with BGWX. I will arrange all the details for that and share them once I have them. We will be breaking down all of this active weather ahead. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please stay safe. If you are getting snow, I hope you enjoy it. Please let me know how much you have received in your area, and I will see you all next time.